Good morning, Bucknutters. It's Thursday, August 21st, 2014. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5. Got what I hope is an entertaining show for you today. Of course, I've got to weigh in on the JT Barrett, Braxton Miller situation that has developed on a national scale over the last few days. For those who have an interest in how websites perform, just to let you know that the interest in our site past few days has been equal to the interest we get on National Signing Day, so you know this is a big deal. We're also going to hear from Bill Kurelic, who will check in on how the Ohio State staff refuses to be turned away on the recruiting trail and therefore has some high-profile names set to visit Columbus, including several guys, big-time guys that are committed elsewhere. We'll also take a look at what we have coming up on the site today, including another power-packed boarding house here on the Bucknuts Morning 5. Now that the dust is at least slightly settled, I was going to weigh in on the JT Barrett era kicking off and Braxton's Ohio State career possibly coming to a close due to his injury. The question is how this affects the team going forward, and the real question in that is, did you think Ohio State was a Final Four team before Braxton got injured? I will say I did. I did think they would win the Big Ten, and I did think they would get to the first playoff. I don't think I would have picked them to win the playoff, maybe win a game, but I do think they would have qualified based on the new system, the way their talent was set up and their schedule. So with Braxton going out and JT coming in, the real question is how is that affected? The way I look at the schedule, the only game this really will completely affect is the Michigan State game. I do think Ohio State is just a much better team than the other teams they play. Their talent level is such that they should be able to find a way to win. Maybe the spread won't be as large as it would have been had Braxton been running the offense. But nonetheless, the question is how Braxton's absence affects the outcome. And in this case, I only see the Michigan State game as one that will change. I'm not sure how I would have picked that game. I hadn't really sunk my teeth into that one completely yet, but I still see that as the linchpin to the schedule in terms of the regular season. So it becomes, what can Barrett do as Braxton's understudy now taking over the team? We've heard a lot from inside sources, and I definitely understand that a football team is much like a political party, and you need buy-in, and what the coaches say publicly may not be completely on point with the truth sometimes, and they do that with an eye on the overall well-being of the team, and I get that. But we have heard from multiple sources behind closed doors that JT does do some things very, very well. He may even be a better passer than Braxton in terms of distributing the ball. He's certainly not the experienced prospect and hasn't seen the number of defenses that Braxton has, but he's a more natural passer. He isn't the gifted runner Braxton is, so I don't think he is looking to run quite as much. People have to remember that Braxton, and I'm in the tank for Braxton, and everyone knows that, was as dynamic a runner in the open field as anybody in the nation. That's just a rare quality to get from your quarterback, and we've been spoiled here with Terrell Pryor and Braxton Miller over the last X number of years, where 3rd and 8 and there's nothing downfield, you always kind of felt number 2 or number 5 would get it on their own. That may not be the case anymore. I know Barrett's an elusive runner, but he's not the freak athlete that both Terrell and Brax were, so that's going to be an adjustment. Thankfully, I think Barrett will be surrounded by more skilled talent than arguably Pryor or Braxton ever was, so that's a positive. And if he's a distributor, like we said, we've been told, I think things could work out beautifully. We also have to take into account that JT did have a redshirt year. If you remember, Braxton was thrown into the fire when Tatgate went down and Terrell jetted for the NFL. He never got the chance to get his feet wet here. He never got a chance to adjust, and the Miller camp didn't even want him to be the starter as a freshman. He was thrust into that because Joe Bauserman was putting the lives of many expensive seat holders in jeopardy. So it was a matter of fan preservation to get Braxton in there earlier on. I trust Urban Meyer and Tom Herman to be able to develop Barrett, albeit on an aggressive rush timetable. Barrett was the first quarterback Tom Herman handpicked out of Texas, a place he's recruited well. So I have extremely high hopes for Barrett, simply because I trust in Herb and Herman to get this done. And to finish off, I want to touch on one idea that's been floated out there, and that's Braxton returning as a fifth-year senior. He said that as much in his statement, that he was planning to rehab and come back and try and lead the Buckeyes for a fourth year, albeit with a year in between. I got to say, if that happens, more power to Brax. I appreciate what he's done for university. It'd be great if he wanted to come back and do that. I just don't see it happening. Given his history, he's had trouble with injuries really since he took over as a freshman quarterback at Wayne and Huber Heights. I'm of the mind that your body can only take so many hits. Braxton has taken a lot of them. He should reserve those for NFL players on Sundays as he pursues his dream. And that's something we will certainly be watching, where Braxton's mind is throughout the season. As promised, the Dean of Midwest Recruiting, Bill Kurelic, checks in on several high-profile prospects, a few of which are committed elsewhere, but will get a chance to check out Columbus before making a final decision.
At one time, the Buckeyes were thought to have a good shot at landing five-star quarterback athlete Torrance Gibson out of Florida. Then there was a lot of talk that Ohio State had moved on. talk that I really never fully bought into. Simply, the Ohio State staff just doesn't walk away easily from great prospects. Of course, Gibson made it to Friday Night Lights, and now Ohio State is again the leader for his services, with Gibson set to make an official visit to Ohio State the weekend of September 6th when the Buckeyes take on Virginia Tech. Also set to make an official visit to Ohio State that weekend is the country's number 2 running back prospect, Jocks Patrick, out of Florida. Patrick will make an official visit to Ohio State the weekend of September 6th. He will visit Alabama on an unofficial visit September 20th, and currently has Florida State and Alabama as his top 2, but again, the Ohio State staff doesn't give up easily on great prospects. Kevin Tolliver, who has long been committed to LSU, is also set to make an official visit to Ohio State the weekend of September 6th. And again, the Buckeyes are not going to back down from a challenge when it comes to landing the country's top prospects. It's an attitude that certainly bodes well for Ohio State recruiting. Urban Meyer and this staff have landed great recruiting classes the last 2 years, and certainly the recruiting efforts for the Buckeyes continue on, and they are simply going to go after every prospect that they really want until the very end, and that bodes well for Ohio State recruiting.
It certainly does, Bill. We thank the Dean for spreading some wisdom this morning. Coming up on the site today, another power-packed boarding house with several tidbits of inside information we are getting on JT Barrett and such. Keep it locked here, Bucknutters. Have a great day.